All right, it's a little past 5 o'clock, so we will call the Norfolk Parks and Rec Board meeting to order. I'd like to inform the public of the Open Meetings Act posted on the council chambers over on that wall. We will start with a roll call. If you could say your first and last name, please.
Terry Rasmussen.
Angie Bailey.
Becky Wolf.
Austin Truex.
Melissa Temple.
Andover.
Patrick Gerhart.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is we are going to have a motion to approve the full agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Great. Next, consideration of approval of minutes of the May. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we do. Sorry. Good, the chairman's here. Can we please get a roll call vote? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. We are now on the, we did that, 5, yes.
Number 5.
Thank you, Melissa, for that. Look for a motion and second for consideration and approval of the minutes of the May 22nd, 2025 Parks Board meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All not in favor, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 6, before we make a motion, probably have some details here real quick. It's a request to make the no swimming signs at Johnson Park permanent.
Okay. Yep, I'll go ahead and go through that process here, where we're at with the no swimming on Johnson Park. Again, this started Mother's Day weekend. We had about 3 injuries that were reported to myself. One was a bridge jump, one was someone running into a watercraft, and also a possible near drowning. I don't believe there was any emergency vehicles that came out or any calls or anything like that. Just I hear about these things. If things happen, people usually inform me. So with that information and staff discussions, we did put up some no swimming signs just while we evaluate it at this point. I will say it's not the standard. State regulations say that swimming in designated swimming areas only. And so you designate a swimming area, you don't say no swimming in no swimming areas. I believe that's the standard. I don't generally see signs. City code, same way. I do have that up for you right here. Right here. Swimming, bathing, wading, motorboating, and similar water activities are not permitted upon the water area of a park, except that swimming and wading may be allowed in designated areas where posted by signs during open hours of a park. Same as state law. We don't have any no swimming signs at Taha Pond. We do have one no swimming sign at Skyview on the west side. And there's not a no swimming sign at the Elkhorn River at the boat launch that I could see. So just to give you an update on where we're at with those. The sign wasn't part of the original design that was approved, so that's why I'm bringing it to the board as a permanent fixture. It is a busy area. We do have watercraft in the same area as swimmers and waders, and I will go ahead and get the video up for you. So staff, we do recommend that these signs stay permanent, but a motion today would approve or deny that request, depending on that decision. They would either come down or stay up following the next city council meeting. Keep in mind, we can't designate this as a swimming area because of state law. It's just simply what type of signage that we want up at the park.
Can you backtrack? Why couldn't it be a designated swimming area?
In order to meet the state law regulations to designate as a swimming area, you can't have watercraft. That's just right there. It shuts it down. So to designate as a swimming area, we just wouldn't be able to pass that test. Then you also have water quality and other issues that you'd want to test the water. So if we designated a swimming area at the lake, we would need to test that weekly at a minimum.
Would that be you or NDEE?
We would have to do that because we would be designating the swimming area.
And then we would put up warnings if it
If
was
there
high
was-
levels of
That's
algae
correct.
or
Yep, yep,
E. coli, okay.
yep.
So, okay, probably a weird question, but why were there signs in the first place? What's that?
There weren't signs in the first place. The signs were put up temporarily.
The sign,
There were, so how did that come about?
I had to make a call. I had 3 calls on a weekend, and so I had to put up some signs while we review this. I didn't have a choice. I think it's best to bring it to the board. That's what you're here to do, is to set policies and determine what kind of signage we have, what kind of regulations we want to have in our parks.
Yeah.
And then we would take that to council. I don't, a no swimming sign, is basically saying no swimming, but the problems that we had on Mother's Day weekend, we already have signs up for that. We say to yield for upstream traffic. We say not to jump from the rocks. We say not to jump from the bridge. We say you have to have a life vest on. None of those things were occurring when those things happened. So it's just very difficult to enforce it
Yeah.
as it is, but, yeah.
Just talking with the board here, if we deny this request, in my opinion, sounds like the best option.
I would think so, that denying the request, then it would go to the council and it would be up to them, but they know that our feeling is
Yeah.
to take the signs down
Down.
if we deny the request.
Deny his request that he's putting
Correct.
that's in here.
Right?
Another thought I had is an alternative sign that says swimming at your own risk or swimming not advised. Is that an option?
The only thing that I advise here is to follow what the state does for rivers. Which is we don't sign for no swimming.
Okay.
And why that is the case, I mean, you can't sign everywhere. We were just watching the video and a bunch of kayakers stopped at the beach. They didn't see the signs and they got out of their kayaks and they went swimming to cool off and then they got back in. So where do you put all the signs?
Right.
I mean, that's where there's a struggle there.
I know. I wish I remembered where it was, but I was driving. It was not, I don't think it was in Madison County, but I was driving in Nebraska along a river like this week, and I did see a sign that said swimming not advised or not advisable. And I don't know if that was Game and Parks, if that was that city, but
Yeah.
that's why I
I'd have
thought
to
of
get
that.
out and find some, or, ask around and find some signs that would be ideal, where you're not completely, you can't designate as a swimming area is all that I can say, but I think it's kind of at your own risk at that point if you don't have a sign up. There's not signs up at the put in, there's not signs up at the takeout.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody
Okay.
gets in the water, I mean, I'm assuming that they're doing it at their own risk
Yeah.
and, I mean, we don't have signs up everywhere. There's just right in this area.
So if people are swimming there, are they going to get ticketed? Are they going to get warned? Is there going to be somebody there to watch to make sure nobody's swimming?
Well, we still have all of our signs up that say you have to have a life vest on in this park. So we really need to enforce that. I think is important, but
And that's just for children to a certain age, not adults. Unless you're in your water.
no,
or
our
you're
signage,
swimming.
our signage is life vest required regardless
For
of age.
any age.
Yep.
Okay.
So, seeing that there's a beach there, people think that's for swimming. So if you put a sign up, no swimming, well, okay, they bring their little ones and they have little blow-ups and they're floating around in them and they're getting on and off. I mean, it seems like it's just gonna,
Yep, and that's why, that's why I'm bringing it here to the board, because I've had a lot of pushback on it. And it's up to you to make these signs permanent. How we handle it, if we don't want to have no swimming signs up how we handle it from there. We have more discussion and more dialogue about that. If I find something, I would bring something back and propose a new sign of something, but I generally would stay away from
Is there an insurance variable involved?
liability.
Yeah,
That's why I'm recommending we keep the signs up.
for the
I-
insurance side.
But if
yeah.
you remove the signs, liability's on the swimmer.
I mean, sign or no sign, the city code is the same.
Yeah, that's correct.
But by,
Sign or no sign, if someone wants to sue, they're going to sue. A sign or no sign doesn't make any difference.
And I think it's important too, that area, it's not deep, and I know people can drown in not deep water, but it's more like wading than it is actually swimming.
Yeah, and wading is included in the state law and in city code.
My question was based honestly on the financial aspect. Would it change the city's insurance coverages or anything like that? Would it jeopardize anything if we did not have them up? That's my question.
I mean, not that I'm aware of, but
Okay.
I couldn't answer that, but I'm not that I'm aware of. I think the liability's the same.
with the weekend coming up, it's June 19th already. Having more dialogue, I think we would probably be better off making a decision. That's just my own opinion. That way people, you remove the signs, people then they're going to swim. I mean, they technically, and you may know more on this, the water isn't owned by the city.
Right?
It's what, Games and Parks?
Yeah, once
Or-
they're off the ground and they're swimming or on a vessel, it falls under the state, I believe.
State.
And in the state, we all own the water. It's a public entity.
Yeah,
It's
only
a
if they're
littoral
standing,
is the term for it,
only if they're
littoral, right.
standing up. As far as I know, it's only if they're standing up.
Isn't there a whitewater park in Kearney?
Yeah.
What do they do?
Same, they have banned swimming. It's because of state law. In Iowa and Manchester, they do allow swimming in their whitewater park, and they have about 6 features. They do allow it, but I don't know what the state law is in Iowa. It might be different.
How does that work though on the Elkhorn? Because there's canoeing on the Elkhorn and also people swim in it.
I'm guessing when people go in the Elkhorn, because I'm aware that people do that. They're doing it at their own risk.
Right.
I mean, you're not signing anything. I mean, these are known hazards. We're not. There's nothing that, you don't have. If it's an obvious hazard, you don't have to sign and say, hey, there's water here. Be careful. There's rocks here. You don't have to do that. But we do say no jumping off rocks, and the reason why is because there's rocks underneath the water that they can't see. And so it's important to say, hey, we have that signed. So if you do that and you get injured, it's at your own risk.
So this is slightly different, but since you mentioned the rocks, the thing that does bother me is the people, especially diving and jumping off the bridges. So I think that I'd like to see something there. And I know we have signs, but what is the enforcement of that now? Is there anything, or is there? I know that police can come and talk to them.
Yeah, it'd be our local police that enforces it. We don't have enforcement capabilities in Parks and Rec. We
Yeah.
can put up signs.
There's a lot of citizens that have reached out, and when they see people jumping, they say to those kids or adults, if you don't get down, I'm calling the police. And that usually gets them to stop doing it. And people have reached out. We did put those signs up on the bridge stating no jumping. As for our local law enforcement, we can't place a police officer
Right.
there. There's other things and
and
responsibilities
I'm
that
not
they
asking-
have, but they do their best to, prevent that. And when they do drive-throughs and things like that, and when citizens reach out, they just are making us aware. And a lot of people that visit the park do, I'm going to say, help police that just as an adult, to tell those kids that might be unattended by an adult to get down and stop doing that. But as for completely preventing it, people are,
You'll never.
have to make wise decisions and know better too. So the best thing we could do from a recreation standpoint is education, which, offer water safety classes and things like that. But, currently we do try to police it, so to speak, like if the workers that are in the park during the day also do the same thing and tell people to not do that.
Back to Mr. Truex here. If we were to deny this, would the city council then change the code?
No, this is not allowing swimming. This is strictly signage, and
I gotcha.
signage kind of sets the tone. I think I think people are frustrated because we've changed the tone of what we're allowing and not allowing out there, and we can't sign the whole river.
Right.
What are the frustrations you're hearing from people since the signs went up?
Just the fact that we're not allowing swimming, they're just frustrated with it.
I'm gonna say that, and
I guess it's more of along the lines of the freedom for them to decide whether or not if they want to wade and swim in the water. But
and people not yielding, which we do have a sign up for that, is people that are wading in the water not yielding to the kayakers upstream. And so that becomes an issue because it's not as easy to move that watercraft when they're being pushed by the water behind them. And there's a swimmer there that's not moving. So we do have current signage to try to prevent that, but it's really just understanding the boating rules and, which I plan on hopefully trying to do something in the schools, or even if we can get them pamphlets, things like that. But it's just understanding that if you are in the water, to move out of the way if somebody, is coming from upstream.
I think just making sure that the signage is easy enough to see that boats and the tubes have the right of way over the swimmers, and that's really.
And I know those that were posted from the beginning, correct? Like as soon as anything was open to the public, that signage was up.
Yep. And we there wasn't one on structure 4 and 3. We've got those up now. I do want to say before the swimming sign, the complaints were the opposite. We're having these injuries, or these kids are not getting out of the way, or what what about water quality? So those comments were coming in. I mean, we didn't have a choice but to put some signs up to review it because it's too much, and that's not going to fall on me. It's got to fall on the elected officials and what this body and the city council wants to do moving forward. If we want to change city code, that's a different discussion. I don't even know if it's possible because you can't designate this as a swimming area.
Yeah.
You won't be able to. It doesn't mean you can't, I don't know if that means you can allow swimming. I don't know. Designating a swimming area and saying it's at your own risk, that's another. I have to do a lot of research and talk to our legal about that and see where we're at.
I think it's just like any river.
Mm-hmm.
You're not saying you can swim in it. You're just not saying you can't swim in it. And it's one of those things where people are then able to make their own decision on that.
And that's what we've done at Taha. There's no signs that say no swimming at Taha that I'm aware of. And we do have one sign at Skyview. So depending on what side of the lake you're on, there's a sign.
And ultimately, we're making a recommendation, but it is the council that makes the determination.
Yep, this will be a recommendation to the
Okay.
council. This will be at the next council meeting, and if it's an aye, we may or may not have this conversation then with the same information.
Well, personally, my feeling is to remove the signs. And yes, let people make their decisions and use common sense. And I believe parents, do need to be monitoring their children, no matter what they're doing on the river. And
It's the same as a swimming pool.
Right,
I
right,
don't think
right.
those lifeguards
Right.
your parents should be monitoring their children.
And personally, I also think weekly water testing would be wise, no matter what, because people are falling into the river anyways. They are surfing. Their heads are submerged potentially. I just think even if we don't have to, that would be something that would be prudent for us to do, and be able to advise the community accordingly.
We do have some guests with us, members of the public. Would you like to say anything?
Okay.
Come on up and state your name, please.
There'd be a lot of people here. Don't anybody come to these meetings? Obviously, I don't. My name is Jane Larson, and I live here in Norfolk. And I'm at Johnson Park every day, several times a day. Beautiful. I love Johnson Park. We kayak, we tube, we bike, we walk. It's wonderful. A lot of people are there. People in wheelchairs, people in, I don't know, jazzy something, they're handicapped. Families, girlfriend, boyfriends, taking senior pictures, really wholesome moments. Love it, love it, love it. But I'm another pair of eyes on the river. So when parents are encouraging their tiny little kids to jump off the bridge, I'm like, get off the bridge. I have to work on my presentation, but the little kids, they don't know. They're looking to their parents. Their parents are not watching their kids. My personal opinion, and I think that's okay to give my personal opinion, the sign has to be bigger, no swimming. They think it's a swimming pool. They think there's lifeguards, women with tiny newborn babies sliding out to the river like they might at the pool where it's wading pool. They are not in the mental capacity of understanding this is a river. My neighbor borrowed my kayaks, and I said, how'd it go? And he said, oh my gosh, I fell off, and I couldn't touch the bottom, and it was muddy in some part. I said, it's a river. He thought of it as a water slide, lazy river. Maybe it's concrete on the bottom. They're not thinking river. They're thinking this is a great park. Look at all the concrete. Maybe it's concrete underneath. I don't think their mindset is quite where it should be. I just see, and I said it last night, 2 kids just threw in their tubes, and one got in trouble coming down number 2. And he finally got up, and he's shivering, and no life jacket, and I just reached down to his buddy, and I said, there's free loaners all along the river. You need to have a life jacket. The sign says, it's not me, but the sign says you need to have a jacket. Do you guys all go to Johnson Park a lot? All the time, so you see it too, right? It's not just me. They don't get it. For us who love the river and love Johnson Park, it's kind of heartbreaking. I want to keep myself safe, and when a lot of those people aren't safe, when I'm coming through with my kayak and they're making a chain across the river and I can't go through, I'm going to speak up and say, no, you can't do that. And they listen, sometimes they don't listen. But I want to keep others safe. And I don't want to be a meanie to say, where's your life jacket? The other night, a Hispanic couple, and I just said, oh, your children are out, but they don't have the jackets. And he turned and said, I know policy. So he knew what it was. He knew the word policy, but chose not to do it. All the signage we could get up, I'm not kidding. If I have something else to refer to, another sign, no swimming, no swimming, no swimming. Even my grandchildren, get your life jacket on, and no, there's no swimming. Stay on your, what do they call it, paddleboard, or whatever they've taken down to the river that day. Do you want to ask me anything or tell me how wrong I am?
No, thank you. Thank you.
It's possible that having a sign that says that this is an active river, this is the Norfolk River, this is not a lazy river, something that just talks about what the waterway is, maybe would help.
We do have that signage up there. It does say, yeah, we have several signs out at each of the put-ins really that talk about how it's swift current, and use at your own risk and all that. So, I mean, we have all the signage out there. I mean, the things that we're talking about, and they're not following the signs. I mean,
But it already says no swimming in there.
but yeah,
signs.
It doesn't say no, it doesn't talk about swimming. We've never designated as a swimming area or. What's that? Oh, yeah, there is the no swimming sign that we put up for now until we decide what direction we want to go. And you've been watching that people have been swimming the whole time we've been talking.
Well, we just saw a kid do a flip off a rock.
Yeah,
Well, we were talking.
Yeah, I'm also very concerned with the jumping off the rocks and the bridge and not wearing a life jacket. But I'm conflicted because when we put in the beach, from what my impression was that would be a waiting area. That would be an area that people could go in and hopefully use common sense and, work with the watercrafts that are going through. But I just want the river to be something for everyone. And I know not everyone has kayaks and inner tubes. And, not everyone can afford the water park. And it's hot outside. So I get the liability and I get you want to keep everybody safe. But just because we have signs, as we've talked about, doesn't mean that they will follow it anyway. So I still lean towards removing the signs.
I would also lean towards that, just based on the fact that there is plenty of signage up there. Not necessarily stating, like you said, no swimming before you put these up, but there's enough wordage in there that warns people for the dangers of the river. I think keeping these signs up, as Melissa kind of alluded to, would hinder people from probably going there. This is a public area that the public taxpayers have paid for, especially with the upkeep and everything. And I think taking that away could probably hurt us in the long run. You're going to have, you have those signs up, you're going to have a lot of people calling the police on a regular basis, was kind of alluded to at the beginning. I don't think our city has the capacity for that all the time during the summer, or any city for that matter. So I think at this point, it would probably be overkill for what we already have there for safety measures to utilize the river. But I'm open to be convinced otherwise.
so we would need a motion for that.
I was gonna wait for any other comments. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, I guess, unrelated, well, not unrelated, but perhaps getting a little ahead of the signage conversation we're having now. Is there even a route? Will we not run into state regulation issues, down the road if we did want to, leave it open to interpretation for people to swim? Is that not an obstacle we'll run into down the road? Even if the city was like, yeah, if you take that risk yourself, will the state code not impact?
I think it becomes just like any other river.
Okay.
It's not a man-made river, it is an active river. So it
Nebraska
falls
has the
under-
most rivers of any state, and there's very few no swimming signs along them.
Yeah.
It falls
So-
under, when you go through Columbus and you look down at the plat there, there's always people.
People out there driving around, yeah.
It's the same thing.
But I will say again, the thing that really concerns me is some of the stuff that you mentioned, the jumping off the bridges and the diving. And we just saw somebody dive here earlier. That does concern me. I don't want somebody hitting their head on a rock. I've got a friend of mine that when we were 19, 20 years old, he's been in a wheelchair ever since from diving. And you can't see what's under that water. That's something that maybe there's a way to address that, but I don't know what it is at the moment.
Is there more protection that could be put on the bridge that would make it a lot harder for people to get out there, to jump off, like they do on the interstate, and they put that up so that people can't throw the bricks off onto the cars coming. Something that's just would make it a lot harder for people to
It already is.
get there.
It's hard for me to see over it.
But they're getting there, so is it on the ends maybe where you could put some type of a barrier that would make it a lot harder for them to get out there?
On the First Street Bridge, I think they're climbing around the end. And on the other bridge, they're climbing over.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't easy. There was a video posted on Facebook, and I mean, it took the kid like 30 seconds to be able to climb up and over and around to be able to jump off, which I thought was enough time to go over and tell them to not. But you know, I digress. But that, I mean, it's not easy. I know.
No matter what size you put, kids are gonna find a way.
And I don't know if that's enforceable or not. The police department did post that they were gonna start issuing citations, so I don't know how much that fine is and what city code they're breaking, because I don't think not jumping off a bridge is in our city code.
It's the swimming.
Yeah.
You know, but we do have rules, and you know, it is on city property, and you have to follow our rules when you're on our property, and we have it signed.
All right, for me personally,
Should I say public property?
I'm kind of old school, I guess, you know, with the river thing. Growing up, there was no sign by the river. This is kind of the same thing where you're at your own risk. I mean, that's just kind of where I am. With anything, I mean, that same thing go for if you live on a golf course or if you live by a baseball field and the ball hits your house. I mean, I don't know.
And based on how these conversations go, if there's something else that comes up that a sign that would work better,
Yeah.
we'll do that. But it's going to be hard to navigate. No swimming except in designated areas.
Where are the temporary signs? I was there, but I was on the north side.
I have one on both sides of one in front of the beach and one, I mean, they can stay permanently, but it wasn't part of the original design, and anytime we bring in new rules, I'm gonna bring it before the board.
So even if we remove the signs, though, like people could get ticketed or cited, correct? If they're in the water?
That would be my understanding.
It might be Game and Parks, though. I don't know if the police actually
Yeah,
have
yeah.
that jurisdiction.
Yeah. Again, you know, if everyone has their life vests on and they're following our rules that we have, I think it's a safe place.
All right, well, I'll probably look for a motion in a second to deny item number 6, deny the request to make the no swimming signs at Johnson's Park permanent.
The motion could be deny or approve, but yeah.
So we have to establish what the motion is before we vote on it. How is the motion, so you're requesting to make the signs permanent, so is that the motion that you're looking for? And then if we don't want that, then we would deny it?
You would just make a motion, if you do not want these signs to stay permanent, you would make a motion to deny my
So
request.
Jared he made an alternative motion.
Okay.
So I'll second it. It's still on the table.
And the motion is?
So if we want the signs gone, we vote no.
We vote yes, because he made.
I said
he
to
made an amended
deny.
motion.
Okay, so not what's written. Okay.
Yep,
So the motion is
to deny the request
Yes.
for item number 6,
to deny the request.
to make the no swimming signs at Johnson's Park permanent.
Okay.
And then in response, you would take this to the city council saying,
Yep,
we recommend taking them down.
that's correct.
Cool, thank you.
So we have,
We have a motion on the table, it's been
Motion and a
seconded, it's
second.
time to vote.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All not in favor, same sign. All right, motion,
No, yeah.
Motion passes.
oh wait, no, you, right.
I want the signs up.
Okay, all right, so make sure that's recorded.
Thanks.
All right, we moved to item number 7. Let's just go over this here real quick. Request to approve the updated and standardized park hours. Is that PJ?
No, that would be me. So we have a list of hours. Let me pull that up here on the agenda. A list of hours throughout the park system. We're trying to get it organized. We're we're asked often, what are the hours? We're kind of all over the board, and so what we did is we took this and we standardized that, that parks hours policy. And actually, I need to. Yeah, the proposed was the original. Did we get the actual ones in there? Okay. But it's wrong in the agenda.
Oh, this is current, okay.
And I just had some questions on,
So this would be the new standard hours. It's a little bit cleaner and easier to follow. It does change a few things. All parks would be until 11. The Elkhorn Lodge is year-round. The cabins have a seasons. Campground, dog park, restrooms, all year-round if they're heated. Restrooms that are unheated will have a season as well. Skate park is year-round. That's already in city code at 10:30, so we kept that there rather than changing the code. And we also did all sports courts at 10:30 at the same time. The restrooms start closing at 10. That doesn't mean that you're going to find them locked. It means that that's when police will start closing them as they're making their rounds. They'll get them locked up as they normally do. So you still might find a restroom open up until 11 or, but, and then unlit is dawn to dusk. Veterans Memorial and ice rink both vary on their hours based on events and the season. The guaranteed season is December to February, but we usually will open sometime in November and close sometime in March, depending on weather. And then the Whitewater Park is dawn to dusk. That's city code, and that's also year-round. Did you have a question?
I just had a question on like the softball complex, that building. That always remains locked unless someone rents it, is that correct?
The team lockers?
Yeah, and where the practice inside?
That's correct. That's basically by reservation only.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the only other thing just as like using Skyview, it gets used a lot sooner than April 15, and there's a lot of little kids. And I know it's not heated, but could you move it up a little bit more?
We do try to open the restrooms as soon as like the weather is consistent. Ryan's real good about winterizing those restrooms as soon as possible. And there's always a porta potty too. So we do our best to get those open as soon as we can.
Okay. So that's just your worst case scenario is the 15th?
That's the latest, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's not necessarily true. I mean, if we knew it was gonna be 15 degrees on April 20th, we would, If we knew it was gonna be 15 degrees on April 20th, for some reason, we would lock them up or not put water to them. So, I mean, it's just, April 15th is
it's
just normally.
it would be our target date.
It's just normally by then, we're not gonna get really cold weather, but that's not saying, this year, we did have really cold weather. The week before, like April 8th, we were still really, really cold. So we just kinda left it up in the air as when we would open them, but if the forecast was calling for 60 or 50-degree weather April 1st, and it didn't look like it was gonna get cold again, we might open it up then. We just never know, but if our pipes freeze up in those pipe chases, it can be a real mess, so. Anyway.
And we are installing heated restrooms now, so Liberty Bell and Johnson Park, and these are all heated restrooms now.
Will they ever change those at Skyview then?
Yeah, and, it's something that's been on a project list of mine is to review look at our current facilities and see what we can heat and can't heat. The one at the skate park's not open, but I do know that you can heat the Chase and keep it open. We've done that before in other places. I haven't done that here, but we've done that in other parks. But I'd have to look at the design and talk with some people to see if it's even possible. And it's just had a full plate, but we'll review those. And then if we want to change out the ones at Skyview and put in some new facilities, then, those would be heated. I would recommend that they be heated.
I had a question on the sports courts versus the all parks. So like the basketball court in Johnson Park, like that would close earlier than the park itself, or is it just standalone?
Yep, so it'd be lights, and so that kind of goes off of the skate park. It starts getting the lights out for the neighborhood. They don't like it on very late.
Right.
And so the lights would go out at that point, and then people can start leaving the park, but they don't have to be out till 11.
Okay, that makes sense. I just want to
Yep.
make sure.
So the lights are on a timer?
Yeah.
Okay. Does that include the pickleball courts? Will those have lights?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. And then the splash pad, I know the one in Johnson Park lights up. Do any others light up?
No,
night?
I don't think, is there lights at
Okay.
Embrace?
I don't think so. Oh, no, there's not.
Any other comments, questions?
I may have to change the splash pad at Embrace to dusk probably, they don't have any lights over there. I'd have to go over there at night to see how lit the parking lot is and see if that's available, but that might be an adjustment.
I think the parking lot is lit pretty well, if I remember right.
Right by the Y, yeah.
I think it is.
Currently, it closes at 9, correct, Ryan?
I think so, yeah, pretty sure. We didn't set it again this year, so whatever was set out last year, so.
We just want to have standards, trying to standardize everything so
Yeah.
you have the same expectation wherever you go.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So we'll be looking for a motion, a second with the amendment Nate had regarding Embrace Park, or Embrace, splash pad.
If that doesn't have lights and it's not safe, then we would put that to dusk.
Okay,
If it does have lights and it is safe, then we'll leave it at 10.
okay. So with that said, we're looking for a motion in a second to approve
Motion to
those.
approve.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All not in favor, same sign. Motion carries.
And Nate, aren't the splash pads going on at 10 a.m. right now?
I believe Johnson Park is at, I believe Johnson Park's at 8 and Embrace is at 10. And this would put them at 9, both at 9.
Wouldn't you want Johnson Park a little bit later, though, if it lights up and?
The splash pad,
Yeah.
it goes till 10. We were
Oh, it
talking about
does.
when it
Okay,
opens at
okay.
9 in the morning.
Oh,
Yep.
I see.
Yep.
Is the water on a timer too? Mm-hmm. It just shuts off at that time? Okay.
It turns off at 10 o'clock at night.
Okay.
All right, we move to Parks and Recreation Supervisor reports. Oh, have fun.
We'll go ahead and start with Parks.
We set up for the Christian Cross Festival. Sprayed Tazuka Lake. We were getting quite a bit of growth up from the bottom again. We sprayed that this week, finished spraying it this week. It'll knock it down. It may not completely take it out, but it'll knock it down. We did mosquito training in Lincoln. 2 more of my people got certifications for mosquito spraying, so there's 4 of us now that can do that. We actually started this week, done Taha, Johnson's Park, and Skyview. And a little bit, I think they did Embrace Park last night too. The wind's got to be so perfect to do it though, so you almost have to just hit it when you can get it. But last night the wind was good. Finished prepping and filling the wave pool at Aquaventure, finished the deck work, got all that going. Installed the new playground at Liberty Bell. We're in the process of putting the chips down now. We still got to put the border up, but that is, the equipment's at least in. Installed the new shelter at Liberty Bell Park. The contractors did that. Installed the new dog bag station. That's not a big deal, but finished the sod installation at Johnson's Park. Contractors got in there last week, did that. and just been watering it, trying to get everything to take off. Most of it looks pretty good. Some looks a little rough. Hopefully that all comes back. Prep for the bike rodeo. We finished basketball hoops at Johnson Park, installing them. Finished the restroom install at Liberty Bell Park. Got that all hooked up and going. Installed a new base for the bell at Liberty Bell Park. I had a contractor do that. We moved the bell then. Planted bushes around that, and then we went ahead and when we were designing the area in front of the restroom at Liberty Bell, we cooked kind of a little decorative area there. We filled that in with bushes and flowers. Well, not flowers, but all stuff that comes back, so we won't ever have to really do any upkeep on those. I've been working on bidding out some future projects. We got the boat dock and North Park sprinklers are coming up. Got the new statues put in Johnson's Park from the new core program. I've actually still got a couple sitting there I need to call and have them come pick them up from last year. Removed and installed new statues downtown. Continue interviewing and hiring people. I'm still looking for seasonal staff if they present themselves, so. Planted the first phase of trees along Omaha Avenue. They did that last week. We continue to water, and we'll probably have to water at least twice a week, especially with this heat, for the next 3 months, I'm guessing. It's quite a project. Spring cleanup of flower beds. We continue to do that, continue to keep them up. Planting trees in the other parks. We've been planting trees in Liberty Bell. He's getting ready to plant some, or at Johnson's, he's getting ready to plant some at Liberty Park. Finished installing the tarps at the library, North Park and Embrace Park, and energized the splash pads at Embrace and Johnson Park. We kind of worked through a few problems at the splash pads. It's always a kind of a iffy deal when you start things up in the spring. This wasn't nothing major, but we got them all running. Work in progress. The playground at Liberty Bell Park is still a work in progress. We'll get it done, hopefully beginning of next week, and get all that opened up. Worked with a contractor on the installation of concrete at Liberty Bell. He actually showed up yesterday at 9 and poured it by noon. So that is ready to go. All we got to do to finish that up is do the grading around it. We got to bring quite a bit of dirt in, but then we'll grade it. Hopefully we can get the sprinkler installer to put the sprinklers in and then get it seeded, and we will be walking away from that for the most part, at least as far as I know right now. I'm sure that'll change. And then just daily maintenance of everything is what's takes 98% of our time, just between the mowing and the weed eating and cleaning, and so that's what I got.
Are the pickleball courts open to the public yet? I know there's a lot going on around there.
They are not open to the public yet. We were finishing and working on some signage for the rules of the courts. We're having the paint looked at, just kind of walking. We did a walkthrough and just had a couple concerns where we look like it needed additional paint. So we're kind of finishing up with them on that, and then Nate or Dally will put something out to announce the opening for that, and currently we're working on a ribbon cutting with the donors, so.
Okay, I figured you guys would provide an update. Could we put something up in the meantime that says that it's still not open? Because I've had a few people reach out to me and say that they thought that they were ready and they went and they were confused.
Yes, tomorrow we'll do a follow-up on that. Had some weather issues, and, every time there's a weather issue, when the contractors are from
Right.
out of town to do the painting, they get delayed, and then it takes a little bit longer than we think, but.
No problem. I
There's just
wanted to
one more
verify.
touch-up issue that they have to finish up. And I was hoping that would be done by tomorrow, and hopefully I can review that, and then I'll let the public know what the next steps are, so.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions for Parks? Athletics?
All right, so some of our major things, we are all done with our tournaments now. So we had Kelly softball tournament, the Golden Girls softball tournament, Steel baseball had their tournament at Memorial. We also had the All-Star Volleyball Classic and the All-Star Football Classic last week, which the volleyball event was first time, and I think it went great, and so did the football. So, Liberty Bell, so the softball field, we installed a new outfield fence topper, and then actually just today we got the foul poles installed there as well, and filled in an area behind the backstop, which was just a little bit of a safety issue. At Memorial, we did some fixing of the fence around the football and soccer field, and then there was a corner gate issue that our guys were able to fix, and they poured some new concrete. Out of Taha, we had the gutters added to the press box and working on weed control and fertilization. We did complete the advertising campaign June 1st, so we are getting the banners made for that and those that selected the LED signs. We did have a family donate a memorial bench, and the guys installed that at Taha as well. So currently just working on maintaining the reservation calendar and active, starting with to get some of the fall sports. So we'll be moving into that season really quickly. We have some cement patch repair at Memorial to do, and then some out at Taha around concessions. We do have some more fence repair at Taha to get done. We have some new goals for Embrace that just need to be put together and then hauled out there. Working on field maintenance plan, which will be just a year-long program that our guys will follow to just have continued improvements of our Taha fields. At the tennis courts, actually today they repainted the pickleball lines, so those are fresh. And then we had a public request to fix that green wall, which the guys will get to tomorrow.
And that's at Central.
At Central, yes. And then we will be doing some patch repair at the tennis courts on 4th and Elm. We have windscreens that we will be installing at the pickleball courts at Liberty Bell, hopefully next week. And then we have some new windscreens for Memorial Baseball Field. We've had to repair a fair amount of equipment lately, especially our mowers, so that has taken some time. And then it's just daily upkeep of fields and facilities. We have games still daily, so continuing to do that work as well. So at Central Tennis Court, like I said, the public request to fix the green wall. And then they also just kind of wanted some hooks on the back and then a bench in there so they can sit to change their shoes. So all of those are easily accommodated, and we'll get to those this week, next week.
I do want to add, I was part of the All-Star volleyball game outside this year, and just very thankful for our great park staff. I mean, they went above and beyond to help, and it looked like the football game was going off without a hitch as well. So anything we asked of them, like, it was almost automatic that they were right there. So incredible job.
Thank you.
Any other questions for sports?
So for rec, we have meetings often throughout the year for our second annual Worst Run Ever, which will come in the end of September. 4th of July Fun Run, which is our first one that I have a partnership with, which will be on the 4th of July and start at River Point Square. So we're just practicing. Our start-finish line timing system is fairly new to us, so we're just refamiliarizing ourselves with the setup of that and to put the registrations in and things like that for the chip to bib. So we're very excited for that 5K and that partnership. Sports meetings with Crystal, just going over the maintenance and upkeep of the fields, and her staff, as Jared said, is doing an amazing job. Rec meetings and the upcoming concerts that I have coming to Johnson Park, which is also another partnership. The first band to play on the stage will be this Saturday, followed by our first family movie night in that park. So we're just gearing up for that. The band is Concho. The movie is The Goonies. So we are getting that ready. We'll have concessions open. Working on advertising. Also working on fall and winter activities up and coming. Have the advertisement out for the recreation coordinator. So we're looking for applicants there, and we'll have our first round of reviewing those applicants here at the beginning of July. Always working on and seeking donations and partnerships to I try to find ways to help offset the cost of any recreation program. So one of those ways which council just approved was for food trucks or vendors to come to Johnson Park during activities. And we keep 10% of the sales, which would just helps offset the cost of the recreation program. So I also did receive a $3,000 donation grant that I applied for to help fund the Johnson Park concert. So very appreciative, very grateful for getting those things and just helping bring free events to the community. I think it's really important to get people to visit our parks and get them outside. And I'm also love Johnson Park, one of my favorites. I love going there. I love it when the ice rink is open. You know, it's extra work, but it's a lot of fun. It's great to see, and it's memories that the community is going to be having with their families. So we're just working on upcoming events. Recreation staff, the pool is up and running. I was very busy today. Had daycares come and other camps come and utilize the pool. So it's busy, and recreation is in full swing as well as sports. So just working on that and looking to grow recreation as always and find funding for things. So that's what I've been working on.
Any questions for Rec?
I was wondering why the staffing for swimming lessons changed this year.
The staffing for the swimming lesson staffing was changed by the rec coordinator, the previous rec coordinator. It's this session for session 2 has been switched back to the original way with the pool staff doing that. There are some recreation staff that also help with the swim lessons. We did do extra training, and I have done training this whole week with all the rec staff on how to do that. And I did review the swimming lessons and made sure that they were the way that they were from years prior.
The rec coordinator position is currently vacant, and we are looking for a new rec coordinator. The department report here, we worked on the Omaha trees. We did the first 92 trees of that project. It's a 3-year project. And we installed trees from Victory Road to 13th Street. We probably have another dozen or so that we'll be putting along there. Once we get the bill, we'll see how much funds we have available left, and we'll get those planted before the end of the year. And then next year we'll continue on. We may even finish Omaha Avenue next year. We'll be pretty close. And then hopefully we have funds to do 81 as well in our 3rd year. And Liberty Bell's coming along. The only thing left that we have there is the backstop replacement. We are waiting for picnic tables as well for the shelter, a bench, and some garbage cans as well to put in there. That's coming very soon. And we need to do the irrigation as well. I think maybe Ryan had already mentioned that. And then the donor wall at Johnson Park is ordered and hopefully will be installed soon. The public requests that we've had this month were allowing swimming in Johnson Park, which just a reminder that we can't allow it without changing state law and the city ordinance. And then also outlets at our put-ins. So we're looking at how we can get electrical to that and maybe get some, they want to be able to pump up their tubes and stuff. So we have. Yeah, exactly. So we're looking at electrical at those put-ins. So, any questions for either Rec, myself, or?
Anybody have any questions, comments? Looks like next meeting is scheduled for, saw it on here, sorry, July 20.
Are we on open topics right now?
We can be, yes.
got a couple. For the trail at Skyview around the lake, I think it varies in width. Is that part of our trailhead plan at all to address those areas where it's not the wider path? Or is that something that needs to be looked at?
Yes and no. I mean, it's not on the, right now, we're looking at lights. That's
Right.
kind of up ahead of it. So maybe once we get those lights in, maybe we'll look at doing a consistent wide path around the lake. What's the widest? Is it 8?
Would it be on, like, from the flood control space? Is that the widest spot?
It's probably 8 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a consistent 8 feet, because we have some 6 foot around the lake, I'm guessing is what you're referring to.
Yeah, and there's some older sidewalk that's even maybe a little smaller than that on the south side, right?
Okay,
I think there is some.
Southwest.
Some space
Yeah.
that's maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yep.
yeah, on the south side.
it's pretty tiny.
We can measure it and
Okay.
see what, how many feet and get a cost estimate on that.
Okay.
We're gonna have to widen it if we're gonna, for having pedestrians and bicycles or e-bikes or any
Right.
of that, you're gonna have to have a wider path.
Yeah, I'm not that good at riding my bike. I'm gonna hit somebody one of these days.
Yeah,
And then I was also going to invite the board, if you would like to volunteer for the 4th of July 5K. We are looking for some more help, either at the starting line or on the route. So if you're interested, just give me a shout.
For the, time?
Great question. 6?
The volunteer meeting is at 7:30, but we're encouraging people to come. We'll be there as early as probably 5 in the morning for setup, but we're encouraging any volunteers that would like to come out and help along the route to be there probably by 7. The starting line is at River Point Square, and that's where we'll hold the volunteer meeting at, and then get people to their location. So we do have that all mapped out, and we'll have maps and designate people to certain areas.
If you'd want ham radio operators to help communicate, we could probably get some.
Yeah, that'd be great. We also encourage any volunteers to, be patriotic and dress up and come and join in on the fun and cheer them along the route. So it is, part of it is on the parade route, so it'd be great to have the community out there as well, just cheering the runners along too. It's always great when a 5K fun run to have people along the route that are cheering for you.
Did you have one more? You have 3 things?
Nope.
Okay, sorry.
It's on my list.
Anybody else? Questions, comments? All right, look for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
thank you.
Thank you.